and welcome to this week's podcast where we are talking about switching off. How often do you do this? How often do you give yourself permission to stop? And this is what I mean by switching off. Not constantly checking your phone, not constantly having to be on your emails or engaging on social media or doing all the things that you feel like you have to do. How often do you give yourself permission to do that? And as mums, especially working mums, I don't think it happens that often. And here's why I think it's so important. We need to rest our brain. We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded with things to do, with notifications, with announcements, with buzzing and beeping and emails and phone calls and washing up and cleaning and dog walking and all the things. But every now and again, and I like to do that, I like to do this at least once a year, I switch off from all of it. And I choose to do this over the 2 weeks when I'm on holiday because it seems like the most logical time to do it. And this year, because my boys are now 13 and 14, and to me, this is just the most delicious age. They still want to spend time with us, probably only for a couple more years. They're so entertaining to be around. We can do things together. We have brilliant conversations. This summer, especially, I really want to spend time fully present with them. And fully present looks like me not spinning in my head when they're stood in front of me talking. It looks like me not constantly on my phone or checking my phone or responding to a quick text or a quick email. When we actually go on holiday, I am going to switch off completely from any of my social media engagement. I am not going to be checking my inbox. And it feels so good once I've overcome the drama that my brain goes into initially when I try to do that. Because my brain really believes that if I stop, it'll stop, it being my business. Whereas actually, I've got evidence to prove that I usually earn more when I do less. It's just that society doesn't teach us this. So part of my brain refuses to believe it. So whenever I first go on holiday, this year we're going to France camping for 2 weeks. We've got a couple of days before and after to drive down. But for those first couple of days, I feel a little bit on edge. I feel antsy. It takes me a couple of days to actually relax down into the reality that there is nothing to do. There is nothing to do bar chat to my husband or my children, go for a swim in the river, sit in the sun and read a book. It takes a while for my nervous system to be okay with that. But once I've calmed that down, the rest of the week and a half is just so incredible. And this year I'm going to prolong it slightly into the summer as well. So I've got that continued time with my children. Now, in preparation for that, I have recorded a number of podcasts so that value continues to go out into the world. I have scheduled posts to go out onto my social media. I've done that ahead of time. So listening to this is going to go out around the 25th, 26th of July. When you're listening to this, I will be in France. I will be driving down through France. So I will already be on my holiday. And this is just, I think, so incredibly important because our brain is a tool. It's a tool to enhance our life. But if we don't ever rest that tool, if we don't ever actually allow ourselves to go off grid, to go AWOL, it's constantly on all the time and it gets exhausted. And nothing stops just because you stop. Nothing goes wrong because you're not checking your emails or you know your notifications or responding to someone on LinkedIn. Nothing bad is actually going to happen, and you will come back from that rest so much more rejuvenated, so much more refreshed, and so much more ready to get back into the world. But it takes a period of being uncomfortable. Whilst your brain or that part of you that's been conditioned that we should always be doing something, you know, we should be cleaning 24 hours a day, we should be cooking, we should be servicing our clients, we should be, all the shoulding that society has programmed us into believing, which none of it is actually true. We're just choosing to believe it. None of none of that is real. And whilst it sounds a little bit morbid, I actually really quite like going to the end of my life. Those last few moments, which is hopefully many healthy, happy years away. Um, and I'm looking back at my life and I'm just reflecting on what I'm grateful for. Do I want to look back at my life and went, oh yeah, I was always in my inbox. I was always responding for notifications. You know, if someone messaged me on LinkedIn, I was on it. I was there. Or do I want to look back and go, I spent really good quality time with my children. I allowed myself to switch off and experience the beauty of what was around me. I was able to really calm my brain down and have a really beautiful conversation with my teenager. Because that's the choice you're making. I'm not saying which one you should choose. I don't know which one is right for you. That is none of my fucking business. But you do. You know which vision you would rather have at the end of your life. Don't wait till the end of your life. Do it now. And I promise you, the world does not stop spinning when you stop. And I think the only reason people struggle with this is because they don't really like that voice in their head when nothing is going on around them. They need things going on. They need to be doing things because that's a distraction. Which is why when we learn the skill of listening to that voice, questioning from a place of love, whether it's actually talking the truth, and then choosing to think something different, choosing to believe something different, then enables you to be with your thoughts, to be with yourself, to not have to be constantly doing and doing and doing. Because, my friends, that voice in my head, she can be a bitch. She will talk to me in a way that I would never talk to somebody else. So it makes sense that I might want to constantly do things in order to avoid it. We don't have to avoid it. I don't avoid it anymore. I just listen to it with compassion. Like, oh, isn't that fascinating? Thank you for that opinion. That part of my brain, I call it Sue. Thank you for that opinion, Sue. But Nikki is in charge. And Nikki is very deliberately, very consciously choosing to switch off. I do not need or want to be on my phone. I do not need or want to be in my inbox or engaging on social media. I will come back to that and I will look forward to coming back to that. But for right now, in this period, that is not what we're doing. And it's just about very lovingly telling your brain right now, we are creating memories. Right now, we are creating balanced, loving children. That's what we're doing in this period. And when you do that very deliberately, then your brain quietens down, your central nervous system quietens down, and you're able to switch off from the rest of the world and actually just focus on what's present right in front of you in that moment. It does not happen naturally. I wish it did, but it doesn't. This is a skill that you get to learn and practice. And the more you practice switching off, the better your brain gets at switching off. And by switching off, I don't mean switching off the thoughts. We can't do that. Your brain is going to think, regardless of where you are. What I mean by switching off is switching off that belief that you constantly have to be on because you don't. That's what I mean by switching off. So I hope this inspires you to do the same over the next few weeks. You will notice that on my social medias, there will be no interaction from me, especially for the next 3 weeks. And then you will notice that I start to pick it back up again. Have the most beautiful summer. Have the most amazing break if you're going away. And I will look forward to speaking to you when I'm back. Sending you so much love. Bye bye.